Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your hosts Edward McQueen and April Garner.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining WCM Live. I am April Garner, tonight's co-host and host, because Brother Edward is not with us tonight, but we certainly hope that he's watching and that he'll chime in on all of this great information that we're going to receive tonight as we talk about education in the community. We have two wonderful guests with us tonight who will share some very unique and intriguing information, one from the perspective of an educator at a higher ed institution, and the other from the perspective of a professional in the aviation field. And this is all wonderful information for the public, because we're in a time when we need to explore and reimagine how to enter career fields, but also how to discover what's out there. And so tonight's guest will let us know about opportunities that are on the horizon, and also some things that you may have never thought of as far as a career field for you, any students that you have coming through the school systems, or even in your household. And it's just wonderful that we have opportunities for everyone to explore. And so we're going to start with our special guest tonight, Joe Starks. How are you, Joe? You're muted. You're on mute, Joe. There you go.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks so much for being here with me tonight. It certainly is a pleasure to have you. And Joe, you are with the Federal Aviation Administration, which, as a lot of people, I guess, kind of think about what that means. You're not a pilot, so we'll clear that up real quick. He's not a pilot, but he does work with the Department of Transportation. And so, Joe, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do for the FAA?
Hello, I am Joseph Starks Jr. I go by Joe Starks. I am a quality assurance air traffic control specialist working out of the headquarters office in D.C. I have 27 years with the FAA. I started as an air traffic controller in California, and have had multiple positions throughout the agency in those 27 years, from being a controller to being a supervisor to a staff support specialist, and as well as some other quality assurance positions. But I can tell you, in my time in the agency, the best time I've had in the agency, and other than the job I currently have, in case my boss is watching, my favorite job was being an air traffic controller. I started out in Laverne, California. It was quite a bit of time ago, but still the best time in my career, and the most exciting time in my career.
So what made you go into this field? What made you go into the field?
That's an interesting story. As a child, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And at one point, I wanted to be a dentist. At another point, I wanted to be a fireman, all kinds of things that go through your mind. But I distinctly remember watching a replay of the lunar landing, and them making a call saying, Houston, we have a problem. And I was like, whoa, it was on the edge of my seat. Like, they got a problem. How are they going to fix it? And, in my mind, I was thinking, I don't want to be the person out there in space. I want to be the guy on the ground to be able to fix the problem.
Okay.
So that's what got me interested in aviation and aerospace. And it was a interesting trek to get there. Thankfully, I had awesome parents. My father was a chemist, and my mother is a mathematician.
Oh, wow.
And educator. And they, we were rooted in science. So I kind of loved science and whatnot. But I matriculated through school and ended up going to Hampton University. And I went there as an electrical engineering major because they were giving me scholarship money. and in my time there, I realized that they had an airway science department, and electrical engineering at the time didn't have its full accreditation. So I said, well, let me look over here and see what I want to, see what's going on with airway science. And airway science had an airway science electronic systems major. So I switched over to airway science, and that's what kind of took me into the field, because while I was there, they were starting a program. The FAA was trying to reach out to minority communities and using college programs to teach air traffic control. And they wanted to start a program at Hampton. So I was recruited by our department head to be one of the first in the program and to help recruit other folks to come into the program. And they were also paying for school. So it was a good match at the time. I picked up a second major of terminal en route airspace management at Hampton University, which has definitely served me well. But the opportunities I'm going to talk to you tonight about don't require a college education. My college education has been beneficial with me in my career, but it was not necessary for me to get in the field, as I learned as I was going through it. Well, I guess that's probably the main thing that folks want to know is how to get into the FAA and become an air traffic controller. I might not have told enough story about how great it is, but I promise you it's an awesome career. I love work every day. It's different, it's challenging, it's exciting. I don't know how many people get to go to work, especially in my early days before I went into management and stuff, in shorts and flip-flops and a t-shirt. And don't have to worry about dry cleaning and those kind of things, and make a very good living at doing it. I can't complain at all about the benefits and the pay of air traffic controllers. It's definitely afforded me a nice lifestyle. But back to the point of what we have now. The FAA for years has been trying to populate the air traffic control staffing, and has kind of been behind the curve on it. And just last year and this year, they have 2 windows for open applications, because most people come to the FAA or to air traffic control itself through either military or military. We basically hired controllers that came out of the military into the field, and then there was very few people that we like to call it off the street, just everyday folks. But in this year, May 5th through the 8th, they're opening the window for folks off the street. And some of the requirements that they have in that, and what I want to get it across to your audience is that you don't need a college degree. All you need to show is 3 years of work. If you worked in fast food, if you worked in the Gap folding shirts, but you have to be responsible, because what we do in air traffic control, we're responsible for lives. It really doesn't feel like it all the time, but we know it in the back of our mind. And what we're looking for is responsible people to come into the field. So you're in high school and you've worked at Chick-fil-A, Burger King, whatever in your time in high school, you've shown that you have what it takes to do what we do. And we'll train you up the rest of the way.
Joe, it's pretty interesting that you say that, because and we don't want to minimize the I guess the skills that are needed, or just the fact that I guess we don't want to make it seem like, well, anybody off the street can just walk up and become an air traffic controller, because then people might start thinking about, well, who's really running the traffic towers. But I think what you're trying to focus on is the fact that there's a certain set of skills that someone must possess, or that one must possess, in order to be successful in this this career path. And I think it's wonderful that you're talking about a career path that's not necessarily rooted in the college experience, because a lot of times, especially when we talk about high school students, they have that, they're trying to figure out that balance as far as whether or not they want to go to college or they just want to enter the workforce. And, they're trying to really decide whether or not they are made for the college experience, or if they, necessity calls for them to go into the workforce, and maybe that's what they want to do before they actually enter college. And so this sounds like a really good opportunity for someone to enter the workforce almost immediately after college, or after high school, and then, they can, after high school, and they can figure out whether or not this is right for them. But along the way, it's all about, even some of the, more practical skills that they may pick up. And I imagine it's probably rooted in a lot of soft skills that that students may need to make sure that they are honing in on whenever they're in the workforce as well. So you mentioned responsibility. What about critical thinking and analytical thinking? I know those things are probably important as well.
Critical thinking and analytical thinking is very important. Multitasking is one of the key elements of what we do. And anyone who has worked at a fast food restaurant or any job where they have to do multiple things to get a goal accomplished understands multitasking. Because I look at it, people tell me that I'm in one of the high stress jobs, but I look at the number of cars in that line at the Chick-fil-A and how they have to keep that flow going and do the things they need to get done to get these orders out correctly so that there's not a problem. And those are the kind of skills we're looking for. Folks who can just, stick to the task, do what they got to do, understand the concept, keep it moving. And, because that's what air traffic is. We're keeping it moving, But critical thinking, multitasking, punctuality. I can't overstate the importance of being on time for things and to, showing up, because that's what your fellow controller is expecting of you. Because in the air traffic world, as a controller, this might sound foreign to some folks, but we can't work over 2 hours without having a break.
Right.
It is mandated that you can only work a maximum of 2 hours before you get a break. So you go take your break, but you got to be back on time, because that other person who's working is waiting for you to get back so that they can take their break. You know what I mean? It's really important, because in our job, in those 2 hours that you're working, which normally you don't ever really reach the 2 hour point, sometime before then you get the break, you're focused. It makes the day go fast because you're focused, you're doing the things, boom, 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 boom. Then your mind needs a rest. And that's what those break periods are designed for. Those mandatory break periods are designed for, to help folks get off and take those breaks. But if you've shown that in your life, that you can be on time, that you can handle a task, see it through to the end, those are the kind of folks we're looking for. And and let me also put in here, I'm not HR, human resources. I'm not one in the office that's going to process paperwork and this, that, and the other. I'm a controller out in the field. I've been a supervisor. I've been a facility manager, and those are the things that I want for the folks who walk in the door. I don't care where they came from before, as far as in, what they were doing before, but if they have a desire to work and want to help our team and are excited about just being a help for our country. Air traffic helps move, they say truckers move a lot of things. Airplanes move a lot of things as well. And, there's a trucker shortage, there's a pilot shortage, there's an air traffic controller shortage. And in order to keep our country flowing and keep business going, we need to be there. And not only are we there for business, we're there for in times of emergency. When everything breaks loose and everything shuts down, air traffic control is still working, because there's military flights that's got to go. There's tornadoes and there's disasters in the areas. those airplanes that come in and bring supplies in, we move them into those ravaged areas that have had floods or have had tornadoes. We make sure stuff gets to where it needs to go. And even, they talk about the supply chain. We are an integral cog in that wheel of making sure that things keep moving. But let me get back to the points of what opportunity is coming May 5th through 8th. The window is opening up, and they're taking applications from folks from just the general population. And there are some restrictions to it. Air traffic control is what we call a young person's game. If you are over the age of 31, they won't accept your application. Air traffic controllers have a 20-year retirement. They say, folks, so if you get in just before your 31st birthday, you could be retired at 51.
Wow.
But if you get in at 18 and work your 20 years, you can go on to do something else if you want to. But we'll try to keep you, because air traffic has a mandatory retirement age of 56. So you can't.
Is that because of burnout? Why is it mandatory?
Well, they show physiological decline in that ability to multitask. The ability to do a whole bunch of things starts happening in the later years. Not really later years, but it's just like, a lot of times I've compared to being a professional athlete. You only have a few years in your prime,
right,
where you can hit on all cylinders all the time, and that's how air traffic is. Where you're gonna be hitting on all your cylinders all the time for those 20 years.
Okay, all right.
56, they say there's some decline in the ability to do all of those things. We're trying to, check the data, because how they keep saying 50 is the new 30 or whatever. So we're trying to figure out if the science still backs that up. But as long as the science backs it up, 56 is still going to be the mandatory retirement age. But the opportunity is out here to get in, and it's a 3-day window. And why I actually started sending out the email yesterday is as soon as I saw it, because you have to be prepared for that 3-day window. I don't know if you have the flyer that I sent out to be able to push up to the screen, because what has to happen is you need to be on USA Jobs and set up an account, and, have a resume put in it. Those kind of things.
Do you want me to go to that site? You want me to go to that site?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right. This is the DATC site, and the application, it gives you the application window of May 5th through the 8th. And when it says be ready, it talks about the things that you need to be. Am I eligible? A U.S. citizen, you signed up for selective service, and some other points. But I think there's also where it shows the application. Go down a little bit further. All right.
This is under the application tab right here.
Under the application tab.
Yes.
Really, the easiest way is for everyone to go to this site, and it'll have all the information for you there. But there's a few things that need to happen, or I suggest you do to be ready, is to sign up on USA Jobs, load up your resume onto the USA Jobs. And there's a few other things that they want. If you had prior military, those kind of things, they want those that information as well, because like I said, military is one of the main ways we get folks. In military, even if they didn't do air traffic in the military, there is a military preference. Well, there's points for having been in the military, which, serving our country is valiant and necessary. And I thank all the folks who served, and thank you for what you've done for the country. And that's why the federal government makes an effort to make sure that those folks who volunteer their service to the country have opportunity, additional opportunity. But like I said, this is open to folks who haven't been in the military as well. But you got to be ready for that window. And going to this site and checking these boxes and getting these things ready, because what do we have? A few weeks before that open date.
Yeah,
So,
just about 18 days to the open date. And
18
it
days.
says, yeah. It says here that the application process can take about 6 months or longer. Is that still typical for the application process?
Yes, it
Okay.
is, because in the application process, there's a lot of steps. Once in that 3 days, you'll submit it electronically. Then they process those and run it through the algorithms and all those kind of things, and then they'll start reaching out to folks, and they start scheduling different things like physicals, like there's a test that they also take, which don't be afraid of the test. It's basically just general skills and stuff that you do all the time. It's not air traffic specific. It's just life stuff. So, and it has changed somewhat over the years. So let me back up and say, I'm not exactly sure all of what's on there, but I know it's basically life skill type stuff, and simple. If it is any kind of mathematics, it's very simple math. And I can tell you, as an air traffic controller, the only math I needed to know was how to divide stuff by 60. Because you get these aircraft airspeeds, and I need to divide it by 60. How many minutes before they're gonna be here?
Gotcha.
That's basically all I needed to know. And once you do it a few times, you'll figure it out pretty easy how many minutes you have to get stuff done and understand closure rates. But so don't be afraid of the math, and don't be afraid of the science. Even though we call it, and you'll go ahead.
I was going to say, it also says that there's a medical and security clearance that one must pass as well.
Yes. So this is what makes the process longer, because after you take the test, then you go through the medical, and you go through the security clearances, because the information that we hold, it can be sensitive depending on the location where you work, especially if you work in the DC area and in those kind of places. So there are processes, there are things that you have to go through to get a security clearance.
Okay.
And but it's all worth the 6 month headaches, 6 months of waiting. You just got to be patient through the process. Just like anything in the government, it just takes a little time to go through the red, white, and blue tape to get to an end result. There was one gentleman I helped. I told him about the last opening, and it's probably been 3 months. He said he got his date to go to Oklahoma for training. So, and that was, so that put it right around 7 to 8 months before he got his actual date to go out to start training, because he had completed the process. So I would say that 6 months is an accurate time frame.
Okay. All right. And then, of course, this website also outlines the training, the hours that are worked. It says controllers work full time and some work additional hours. So, is a air traffic controller's typical day, 10 hours, 8 hours? How many hours a day do they typically work?
It could vary depending on the facility and what you want to do, because most facilities work off of 8 hour schedules, but there's some facilities you can work 4 10s, if you want to work 4 10s. And then there's another schedule where you work 9 hour days, except for one, you work 1 8 hour day and you have an extra day off. But it is a 24/7, 365 days a year job. So weekends, holidays, we work.
Right.
There's no time that, unless you get to a facility that closes, because not all facilities are 24/7 facilities, but we do work every day of the year. So we work on Christmas, we work on New Year's, we work on every single holiday, no holidays off. But you might
Right.
have the holiday off just because of your schedule or whatever it is. But I found in my career, my favorite days off were Monday, Tuesday.
Why is that?
I really, because everybody and their grandmama is off on Saturday and Sunday. You can't get a thing done. Trying to go somewhere. And plus, I might sound bubbly, but I'm not that social to the point where I don't want to have to go to everybody's events on the weekend, so I had an excuse. But anyway.
Gotcha. All right. So that works out perfectly for you.
Yeah. That worked out perfectly for me.
All right. Well, and then, and so then, of course, we get into the pay and benefits. And for someone who actually doesn't, there's no requirement to have a college degree. You can essentially do this straight out of high school. It says, attending the academy, trainees can receive $34,000 to $35,000 in pay. I would say that's very good for someone who is just coming out of high school. I don't know if that's like the average or the median or, the true starting salary for people who enter the academy. But is that typically what you see in this industry with this type of offer?
Yes, that's exactly what it is, because the first place they're going to send you is to Oklahoma. So that's going to be your first pay rate. And then plus you get a per diem out there. So I don't know what the per diem rate is right now, but that's on top of that. So it works out. And even for folks who are in careers now and looking to shift and change, that usually helps them continue what they've got going until they can get to a facility. Because once you get to a facility, your pay goes according to your facility level. And it will change dramatically. I think they show some facilities like 43.
Yes.
Minimum
after training.
Yeah, so that's after training. That's the lowest level facility. And then every step of training, you get increases. I remember when I first showed up to my first facility, this was many moons ago, so I actually started for $23,124. So it was the pay, I didn't seem like it went up much, but $23,124 is what I started at my first facility. So it's $20,000, I guess, more now. But after 2 weeks, I had finished my first stage of training, and my pay went from 23 to almost 30. And then it was another 4 weeks, and I had finished another stage of training, and my pay jumped up another and another. and it was pretty quick to get to a point. Then it took a little while for me to get all of the technical stuff of local control and those things down. And then I was at my final, I was at grade at that point. And like I say, I can't complain about compensation from the agency. Normally you see me wearing Federal Aviation Administration hats or T-shirts. My dad always said, if they're not paying you to wear it. And I was like, well, the FAA has been paying me, so I'll wear it. Nike ain't never sent me a check.
Right. Wow.
I really can't complain about that. But do know this. It is not, the job is simple, but it's not the easiest thing to learn, because we my wife says I speak a different language when I talk to air traffic, and I do things a little bit different than she's normal to. I mean, well, her norm, and like when I want somebody to repeat something, I say again, because that's how we have to say it in our phraseology. So you'll learn a new language, and you'll learn a new time, because everything is in Zulu time.
Right.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. I smile about it every time I think about it. I was blessed to get into this career path, and then it was actually the second thought, because I wanted to work for NASA first. So, but man, I worked for the FAA as an air traffic controller, and I've been happy ever since. But they say you get in where you fit in, and you fall into the window that's open.
To the
You know what I mean?
groove, yeah.
It works. It works out.
Exactly, it worked for you. Exactly. Bonnie Edie is joining us tonight. Thank you, Bonnie. And just going to recap that she had a question about the age limit, and Joe explained earlier that you have to be under 31, I think it is, in order to apply.
Right.
After 31,
by time,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Joe. Mm-hmm.
By time the application window closes, you can be you can't be 32 before the application process is over. You can be 31 and get in, but it's close. Playing with the margins, like they say. But and that's because of, the 20-year retirement for the career field, and at 56 is mandatory retirement. So, I don't know if you want that part.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I wanted to just kind of touch on one more thing, and whatever else you want to touch on before we go to the next segment. But, we have to talk about the obvious, which is you are a Black male in this field. And a lot of times, our young people will not enter certain career fields because they don't see themselves in certain roles. And so it's great that you as the saying goes, what they see, they will be. So it's great that they're able to see you as an air traffic controller, as a supervisor, as someone who is in the aviation field, working in a tremendous way in terms of your role with the United States Department of Transportation, with the Federal Aviation Administration. And like you said, because of the complexity of the job, also the importance of the job, I think that some people think to themselves, oh, I can't do this, especially young people, and I'm glad you even touched upon the math part of it, because a lot of young people will shy away from things that are remotely related to STEM. So, knowing that there's, some basic functions that they can probably do with practice is great. But when it comes to, minority hiring in this field, have you seen over the years that minority hiring has increased? Is it still a challenge to get minorities into the field? And if it is a challenge, why do you think the challenge is this?
Well, I think that the agency has definitely made a concerted effort to recruit more minorities into the field. And I think it's a challenge because folks do shy away from it because they really haven't heard of it. You kind of hear of it on the news. They talk about, there's a lot of things have happened recently that has made my current job very exciting, but they don't really know what it is, and most of the times when you see it, you don't see it on TV and answering the questions or whatever. But we are there, and the numbers are increasing. More folks are getting the understanding and the learning about it, and that's helped a lot. And the agency definitely has its focus on being diverse. I mean, it really wants to represent, the American population. It's not the same old club that it used to be. This club is wide open. Yeah. So I would say that there's the government itself and how it handles the application process removes any real kind of I see you prejudice because it basically it runs its things through the computer algorithm, and it just, if you're qualified, you got a shot. If you meet these qualifications, you got a shot. And then what you do with your shot is on you.
That's right.
And if you want it, you can do it.
Right.
And that's it. And I'm gonna tell you this for sure: we don't hand it to folks because what we are in charge of and responsible for is important. So, you know, I've seen folks come through the door and, you know, off of first whim, you think they're scattered, they're not gonna, you know, they're not collected or together, da 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 da. But it works. It clicks for them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the perfect fit for them because they're able to multitask, and especially people who they say they have a problem. It's funny how I say you got to focus and this, but it's funny people who have a, you know, that attention deficit, who want to be doing something else
Mm-hmm.
all the time, are great at this. You know,
Because there's always something.
like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's always something that they can be focused on different that keeps them involved and in it.
That's
You know,
interesting.
and they're
Mm-hmm.
happy, and and we're happy.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
my biggest thing I go into the job with every day is I want to make sure the flying public is safe. And in my role now, as I said, I've been a lot of roles. I'm at headquarters doing quality assurance for the country. So I review incidents, close calls. I review any and every incident that you've seen on the news. I review those plus,
Mm.
and I help put together plans to prevent them from happening again.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean,
That's major.
we're
Yeah.
and we're everywhere because my
Mm-hmm.
boss looks like me, and a lot of folks in my group look like me,
Mm-hmm.
and throughout headquarters, there's a lot of folks who look like me,
Mm-hmm.
and we're proud to be responsible in doing it. And actually, the head of the agency right now looks like me,
Mm-hmm.
so you can do it no matter what skin you're in. He can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And I don't, and that's males, females, everybody. It's,
Yeah.
you know, some of the best controllers I've ever worked beside were females, and that used to be some kind of, you know, it was very few of us, and there were fewer of them,
Mm-hmm.
females in the profession. Now, females in the profession, you know, is no difference. Everybody is.
Well, we've got the multitasking
Everybody
thing down because that's what we do naturally. The critical thinking, all of that. We've got all of that. So yeah, but that's good to know,
It
Joe.
works
That's good
well.
to know. Mm-hmm. That's good to know,
Yeah.
and it helps to debunk some of the myths. Yeah.
Yeah, but you like anything that's worth anything, it's a process that you got to go through to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And this 3-day window, be ready for it. Look at that website, which I believe she's going to share in the chat so that you guys can get to it, and just go through the steps. Just follow the process. You know what I mean? Because you know, that's like insurance. They don't want to pay for nothing on the back end, but you got to go through the steps in order to get them to pay. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And right now, Uncle Sam. So just go through the process. It might make you bump your head, thinking it's like, why do we got to put another piece of paper in and this, that, and the other? Because it's gonna be worth it in the end. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so.
Well, this has been fantastic information. I'm actually going to pull up the site one more time, and bear in mind that the URL for the page that we were scrolling through is pretty long, but you can go to the FAA.gov site, I'm sure, and this will probably be under jobs. Am I correct? Would it be shown?
It's under the FAA site, it's going to be under BATC.
Okay, under BATC. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be in one of the side columns, you know, and then it's going to be how to become an air traffic controller or something like that. It's going to be in that section.
Okay. But, all right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, this is awesome information.
I look forward to seeing folks come in the door.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Joe, you've been incredible. Thank you so much. And again, the window opens May 5th. You have 3 days, May 5th to May 8th, To apply, go to that website that we shared a little earlier. Go to the FAA.gov website. Look for BEATC, and ATC I assume stands for Air Traffic Controller. And look at all the information, all the criteria. And like Joe says, don't be afraid of the test. Put your name in the hat. Also, he mentioned going to usajobs.gov or .com. I think it's .gov. Yeah, setting up account there, putting your resume up. For me, if I knew then what I know now, that 20-year retirement plan, that would have been right up my alley. Especially at 18, to know you could be finished and before 40, you'd be retired. You could start something new after that. But more importantly, just like Carolyn Hickman Williams said earlier, she's going to share it with the young people in her church. You know, again, there are students who are not college bound. They are ready to hit the workforce. And this is one incredible way to do it, and to, be able to, step outside of their comfort zones, to learn something new, to make excellent money fresh out of college. And so, if you know of some young people who are still trying to figure out what they want to do and they're trying to find their way, this is definitely one career opportunity that you should share with them. And I'm sure if you want Joe to talk to the youth, about this opportunity, again, it's coming up May 5th through the 8th. It's only open, one time a year, Joe? Is it once a year?
One time a year.
One time a year. You may want to get in touch with Joe and see if he can, talk to the young people that you're working with, if you're listening and watching and you are working with some youth groups. But this is excellent information. So thank you so much, Joe. Really appreciate you being here with us tonight.
No problem.
All right. Oh, you're welcome. So we're going to continue talking about education in the community. And so Joe was talking about that, pathway into the workforce. And we have a very special guest with us tonight who's going to talk about not only pathways into the workforce, but how to do it through a 2-year community college opportunity. And so we have Vincent Myers with us, who's with Workforce Development at Horry Georgetown Technical College. Welcome tonight, Vince. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, April.
All right. Thank you for
being
here.
That was great information.
It was, wasn't it?
I just hit that 32-year-old mark.
Oh, so you just missed it.
Yeah, darn.
Just missed it.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it's an amazing opportunity, and I actually didn't know that it was. Well, I don't want to call it easy, but it seemed like a simple entry as far as the opportunity being there and what criteria you have to meet just to at least apply. On-the-job training is always a plus. So shouldn't be afraid of that particular opportunity. And I know you have some other things you want to talk to us about as far as educational opportunities. So Vince, why don't you start by telling our audience a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into it.
All right. Again, my name is Vincent Myers. I am the Workforce Development Manager at Horry Georgetown Technical College. My journey has been a long one. I've been with the college for 30 years. I started out in the IT field. So as Mr. Starks spoke about earlier, I was the first African-American male to have the full-time position here in our college in IT. And going through the ranks of rising through that, I really understand what he means by the challenges and how persistent you need to be to receive education, to receive opportunities and advancement. That to be able to have the will to go through that, you have to want it bad enough to actually go through the steps. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times folks are discouraged because they feel they don't belong, or they're given something. But remember, every opportunity that you have is a blessing. Right. And that's not something that is just granted to you easily. It's been gifted to you to create something great out of that opportunity. So no matter what the obstacles are and where you go through, being able to learn and grow where you are is important to your success and your growth where you are. So I really applaud him for being in that untraditional job environment. And hats off to him, because I don't like flying. I'm glad he loves his job and he takes it seriously, because he did speak about responsibility, great responsibilities for lives. And you have that responsibility at every job. So I do applaud that opportunity that he's taken and how he continues to go through. So that's much like my journey. So now I've transitioned from the IT department and I went to the academic side. And now I'm in the workforce development side, which deals with helping companies create education for their employees, also education opportunities for the community, quick job training, meaning just like you said, you want to start working pretty quickly. Well, we have some classes. Let's just take one, CDL. You go learn how to drive a truck for 5 weeks and you can get a job when you pass the test. Those kind of jobs. So and when you're driving a truck, like you said, transportation is important. Then you got some nice, comfortable, livable wages. So those are some of the classes that workforce development can offer that someone might not want to do a 2-year track, but they want to do something that gets them a quick job. Well, the beauty of this is that with workforce development tied to our curriculum, we get to do a pathway kind of thing. So certain areas you can take some classes in workforce development that could possibly go to credits for a 2-year degree. So you're getting into these and you can further your education, which gets you more advancement opportunities, more pay opportunities. All of those go with your growth in education as well as your job. So I'm happy to be in this environment here where I can use my IT background for some kind of consultation for companies and understanding how education works in the workforce, can work in the workforce. So I can speak the language with them because I've had the background with that. And the proof of the pudding is when they take an employee through our program and find out how valuable they are going through the learning environment, I think that really speaks for itself when we actually can show it works.
Mm-hmm. So there's an initiative that you all have been working on, you and a colleague of yours, and you want to talk a little bit about what the focus is for that?
By all means, yes. We have worked with, we're working with Horry County government right now, and they have asked us through Councilman Orton Bellamy, now Councilman Tom Anderson is leading the charge. They asked us to come and help write a grant, an educational grant for the Bugsport community in South Carolina. It's the lower part of Conway, South Carolina, just before you get into Georgetown area. And that was to bring education to that community area because of their distance away from the college and other challenges that that community had with education. So how can we bring education opportunities to them to help them get around some of those barriers that might stop that community for taking advantage of what offerings were given? And they actually gave us a spot in the James R. Frazier Community Center in the Bugsport area where we actually can hold classes. Now, the challenge for anything when you talk about creating education and classes and everything else is the need. What is the need? Now, the communities, and this is very important when you're trying to find where you want to go in life and what you want to do. That need sometimes is not really something you can pinpoint because of your desire, what kind of job you want, or looking for where you want to go. The jobs have to be available at times to really find out, hey, I want to go into this field. So we work in the community to find out, I mean, not just work, we communicate, we talk with the members of the community, we go to the churches, we have certain events there, we provide surveys. There's a young lady, Caitlin Clay, who is our community coordinator down there. She really beats the pavement to find out what people are needing. So because of the community input, we're creating classes that we can have in that area. Now, these are workforce development classes. So most of them are short-term classes that we create in the community. But also the grant allows them to take any education opportunity that the college has, and that's free to them. So for instance, if they want to take a court reporting class, or I'm sorry, that's curriculum. If they want to take paralegal class, that is in our curriculum program, they can do that. If they want to take mechatronics with it, which is a curriculum program for us, they can enroll into that with no cost to them. That grant pays for their education, it pays for their supplies, it pays for their books. All of that is available to them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been singing that message to the community, and we want to get it spread. We have 2 more years of this grant. December 2024 is when the grant ends. We hope to expand it, but we need individuals to take advantage of the opportunity to show there's a need that needs to be continued.
So the basis of it being down in Bucksport, why was that an ideal location?
That's the location that Councilman Bellamy had brought to us. So on the council, they had decided, he brought up the idea to want to use some of the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds that were still available.
Mm-hmm.
How can it benefit communities? And that was his district at the time. And he brought that forth to the council, and the council agreed. And that's when they reached out to us to do that.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So as a part of this initiative, tell us about some of the, a little bit more information about some of the careers that can come out of this.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to see if I can share one of my screens here with you.
Okay.
So you can see what we have going. That's that one. And let's see if this works.
Okay.
All right. Can you see the full presentation?
There you
now?
go. Yep, there it is. Mm-hmm.
All right. So he mentioned something about opportunities, and you did this too. The title that we had, and we had a town hall meeting, an open house, to talk about what we've done so far in the year of us being at the community center. And the title of our thing was "When Opportunity and Access Meet, You'll Find Success." So a lot of the challenges is first having opportunity to apply for the job, but the access is someone sharing that information so you can go and obtain it. So once we know that the opportunity is for us, then we can go ahead and move forward. So far in that program, so the grant started February 17th, 2022. And again, we're fighting, the comeback of COVID, just like everyone else. We're having the challenges with finding instructors, just like everybody else. All of these real challenges are on our doorsteps as well. So we get to recognize and speak towards education that gives people opportunities to find jobs. So the award was about $1.75, $1.8 million for the 3 years. To this date, we spent about $500,000 of the grant. $333 were scholarships. That is someone taking classes, any of the classes that we have. That's where the scholarshiping comes from.
Mm-hmm.
We served about 156 participants. Outreach events, like I talked about us going to the churches and other communities and surveys, we touched about 879 individuals. And between that 156 individuals, they took a combined about 300 classes. Because again, they can take more classes that work towards their career goals. So it's not a one and done situation for these.
Mm.
So, but now the money doesn't last too. So we got about $1.2 million to share before the end of the year. And I thought this slide was pretty interesting because you see some of the classes that were actually taken. Drone training, that's one. And a lot of folks say, oh, drone, that's recreational. No, one of the concepts that we're sharing, because once we offer the classes, we just don't offer them. We speak about the educational opportunities for those, the employment opportunities, and the entrepreneurial opportunities for this. Drone training class, there was a drone vendor or instructor there during the meeting, and we explained that he can work with the roofing company that he works for, and they can fly drones over a house to take estimates for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of connections that can be made there. And the interesting aspect of that, because we're in the community, we bring our resources there. So if that both of those companies, the roofing company and the drone training company, if they wanted to invest in this, we can actually create an apprenticeship Carolina program with them, which if they hire individuals, that person gets an extra $3,000 towards education, their employee. So while they're working, they get educational dollars for more training. This is the company's benefit. Now that company also gets the opportunity to have $1,000 tax credit for that person that they hire if they're working for more than 7 months, which hopefully that will increase by some of the efforts that Apprenticeship Carolina is pushing forth to the state on that. But then that same employer gets a stipend, cash stipend of $600 or $1,000, depending on what grant they fall under. So we help that company create the training program, and we connect the companies together. So Ms. Tanya Appel has been awesome. She's the apprenticeship consultant who works with us on the Grand Strand campus. And we really tag team to hit the companies to go out there. So we've jumped from like 12 companies using apprenticeships to over 34 in just a year's time. Yeah. So the opportunity is there and more funding is available. So between this funding with our scholarshiping funding, we can really impact the community, not just for training, but for job training. The goal is to get them educated so they can get a job that really impacts their financial responsibilities in a good way. So they can cover a lot of those. So we have people, if you notice on the list, automotive technology, we just created that class. So that person has to take, I believe it was three or four different classes in there. All those classes were covered. Basic computers, CDLs, certified medical assistant, nursing assistants. All of those are available. I think one of our accomplishments this year was phlebotomy class. So just like he was saying that you have an opportunity to get in there and you can grow, you have other training. We're trying to find ways so we can help folks have a comfortable, livable wages while they're still going through other educational opportunities. So in the field of nursing, we're trying to bring in that area, we have phlebotomy, CNA, and then you got the nursing that you can get into. So we're trying to create a track that if the person who wants to get in a CNA, and sometimes the wait list for a CNA can be long, but if they don't have that time to get in there, they can get into phlebotomy. They can take that phlebotomy class and pass that, and they can get a job in phlebotomy, which the wages for that are pretty good. I mean, you're sitting there drawing blood from somebody, not me, but from somebody. And then that job, you're not tired. So if you want to continue your education at different times, you can do that. But because you started in that educational field, if they get into a CNA program or medical coding or anything of that nature, they're around that medical terminology. So when it's time for them to pass their exam for their licensing, it's understandable. So those are some of the things that we've done. And these are the classes that we have paid for already. Heavy equipment operators have passed that. We don't have that program anymore, but they have taken advantage of that for these. So we do recommend that anybody who's looking to take advantage of that, please do so. This year, immediate year that we're going to do, we're going to be doing classes that's going to be held at that center, starting the business. That's some of the requests we have coming in. Certified medical assistant. Again, we're going to do another phlebotomy class. We also work with Ori Telephone that they fully fund a digital literacy class there. That's more funding to that area. So those classes, because they're bringing fiber to the rural areas. Now you have fiber access when you had dial-up before. Well, how do you use it? What are some of the opportunities? So these classes are designed to show them the possibilities that they'll have with the faster internet bandwidth. And this was our first class we taught from here, which was a huge success. So we plan to do more for that. Lifestyle math. That was some of the things that we felt people needed to get prepared for school. This would be a great class for that person who wants to take that get into the FAA.
Okay.
Follow math class and do that. Financial literacy is another one that we're doing. Actually, we're going to do that this summer. So that's some of the things that we're doing. And I wanted to put this link up here because I am asking a question. We need to hear from you. Your voice matters. When you're saying you don't have an opportunity, or you're looking for different learning opportunities, or you want to advance at work and you feel you need this skill set, or so on and so forth, those in that community or any communities, if you have that need, we want you to fill out this survey right here. And we do things with QR codes, so just pull up your camera on your phone and that'll take you to the survey. You can fill that out to find out what can we build for your area. Now, whether it's curriculum class where you want to get into a 2-year program, we can help you get into that. If you need a short-term program that needs to be created for a 1 class or several classes, depending on what you need, workforce development at Orange Georgetown Tech can build that for you. There's nothing that we can't accomplish, but we can't accomplish anything if you don't give us any input.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice still matters, and data is where it shows.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great for the councilmen to do this, and I say this to anybody. You might have a bad taste in your mouth about politics, or the person you voted for didn't win, but they're still serving you in the community. You pay your tax dollars, you have the opportunity. Those tax dollars are where these grants come from. So you funded this opportunity. Speak to your councilman to find out what you need in your area so we can bring more programs to you. If you don't say anything, they don't know what they need.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk, but sometimes it might be biased because they say, hey, you're trying to create a program that just supports your college. Our college here is to support the community. You are a community, you are the people that we serve, and we need your input.
That is excellent information. There's a question in the chat. Are students from areas other than Bucksport participating in this educational opportunity?
That's, how can I answer that? Yes and no. So depending on what programs that are available, we have scholarshiping, not just for Bucksport, but there are other scholarships that we have available for STEM. And we hope to receive some more money after July 1. But for some of the programs that we have in our area, if they're connected to the Bucksport community in any way, they can. Now that grant is really for all of Horry County, but the emphasis is on Bucksport. That's where the challenge is. So we're trying to make sure we can support the target subject of that grant, but we are reaching out to other communities or other areas if we don't have enough to make that class. So that's a somewhat yes, but if you need, please contact us and we can tell you what we can do for you. But again, your input, if you fill out that survey, and I'm not sure, I don't have our number on here on the slide, but I'll give that out in a minute.
Okay,
Feel free to
put it in the chat and I'll pop it up there. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to call us so we can get you connected to where you want to be. All right.
So Vince, whenever this was proposed as far as an opportunity for the Bucksport area, was there a need for like a community assessment to see exactly how many people in the community this program or this initiative could serve? And because I think what Carolyn has posed as a question is an excellent question. Yes. And if you've identified that there are enough targets who will take advantage of this opportunity, and so that the money won't be retracted or that the opportunities won't fall by the wayside, then it sounds like to me it's a pretty sound initiative. But yes. Within the community of Bucksport, I'm sure, and if others don't understand that, as far as the audience is concerned, Horry Georgetown Tech is open enrollment. It's pretty much 18 to 80. So anybody can take advantage of this, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody can. And to the person's question, to their point, is yes, we did find a need. And VP Greg Mitchell had said it this way: we're building this plane while it's in the air. I don't like that analogy because I don't like flying, but really we're surfacing a need that a lot of people are asking for things, but when it's time for those classes to be created, there's a timing aspect. The time might not be there for that class anymore. So it's important that information of need is always gathered. So when we see the grant, we talked about what was needed. We heard the community and saying what they're saying. So we're offering that. But now that grows, it mushrooms as to, we're not trying to service the need where it's dead. We want to make sure that their requests are still living, that they're looking for new opportunity, they're looking for new education. Because of this class, now they can do this job. Because of this class, now they can start their business, or wherever that is. We can help that community's economic system by giving them education that can go where they need to be. And trust me, I believe Mr. Starks when he was saying that some students don't want to go into education. Mm-hmm. But once you get a job opportunity, you can do that. That's fine. Sometimes in these areas, we don't have that around here. So the education helps you do that. And we found in this area that companies are looking for a Georgetown Tech for their employment source. Mm-hmm. And that's a good opportunity where you can do some quick training to get where you need to be.
Okay. All right. Well, the URL is on the screen. You can go to the website /job training to find out more about this initiative and other opportunities through workforce development. And I think you were going to pop some information into the private chat, and I will put that up in just a moment. But, this has been some great information about, the different types of opportunities that exist, opportunities that lead directly to the workforce, but also opportunities that require an education and can also lead to even more training once you are in the workforce. So thank you so much, Vince, for sharing this wonderful initiative. And I'm sure the Bucksport community is appreciative of this being right in their back door. At least I would hope that they are. Yeah, absolutely. So is there anything else major that's going on that the community needs to know about what's happening in education at Horry Georgetown Tech?
What isn't going on? We have a boat building class, that boat building program that we're creating in Georgetown. So that's coming up. We started the automotive program. So registration opens for that in the fall. So when that actually comes up in the fall, you can get into that program. We have the diesel engine repair going on, our nursing. So the top classes that we find a lot of people going into is CNA, our CDL classes, and this is on the workforce development side. CDL classes, those are just still top needed employers right now, as Mr. Stark spoke of the travel problems that we're having. So those classes are filling left and right. So once you look at what we have on a job training site, that can tell you what things are happening. But the automotive and the boat building are our most exciting things that are coming up now, where we are getting individuals into those fields.
Mm-hmm. Well, always something exciting, always something new on the horizon, trying to meet the demands of the market. That's what workforce development is all about. So thank you so much, Vince.
We are pleading to the business community,
okay,
small businesses and large businesses in that Bucksport area. Mm-hmm. Please reach out to us. So we're going to, through Apprenticeship Carolina, we're going to really push the efforts for you to maximize your opportunities. Remember, that apprenticeship program is totally free to the company. So if you employees, like we have a nursing company or a home health company in Conway who's just signed on to that. Once we have our CNA class, they're going to send their employee through that, close to their job, close to home, and they get that opportunity.
All right. All right. Well, Vincent, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And I want to thank our viewers for tuning in. As they say in church, you get to calling names, you get in trouble if you don't say everybody's names. But I have to thank some of our wonderful viewers tonight. Sister Joella McQueen, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and send my best wishes to Brother Edward and tell him I need him back here next Tuesday. Bonnie Edie, Janet Lawrence Patton, and Carolyn Hickman Williams, we certainly appreciate you tuning in tonight. And those of you who are watching but just simply didn't have a question or a comment, we appreciate your support as always. Want to thank our wonderful guest, Joe Starks with the FAA, and Vincent Myers with HGTC for being with us this evening. It's all about educating the community. There's job opportunities out there. It's what you make it, so reinvent yourself, reimagine your future, think about some of these wonderful opportunities, and make sure you apply if you're interested in the air traffic controller position. May 5th through the 8th, that's the short window, one time a year, get in on it. And then if you have any questions or want to know more information about the Bucksport Initiative or anything that's going on at HGTC, you can contact Vincent Myers at this number, and he'll be sure to get you the information that you need. So thank you, everyone, for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you next week, same time, same bat station. Okay? All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner.